So we are continuing with the letter Gimel, part 2. So from our previous study, the word Gimel is Gimel, Mem, and Lamed. And that adds up to 73. So we have number 3 for Gimel, it's the third letter. We've got 40 for the Mem, and we've got 30 for the Lamed. So that adds up to 73, and what we got from that is the word Be. Bea. Bea is Bet, Ayin, Aleph. So that's Bea. Now Bea means to ask, also means make petition, and also to pray. Now we see that the letter Gimel is associated through the number 73 with prayer. Now Gimel, as we discovered, is associated with Yahweh Spirit, that gives us strength, and it's also carrying us through difficult times, specifically the wilderness, which is this life and all its troubles. So that is basically what the number 73 end up to be. So looking at all the words that's associated with the word Bea, we looked at different passages from Daniel. So the first one was Daniel 2. Daniel 2 verse 13, and that has to do with attack on wisdom. And the wise. Then we had Daniel 2:16, which was Daniel desired from the king time to give the interpretation. So it's to pray for opportunity. To share the wisdom. So that's basically where you pray for an opportunity every day to meet someone and to share Yahweh's word. The next one was Daniel 2:18, and that was where they desired mercies from Elohim of heaven concerning the secret, which is the wisdom or the hidden wisdom. So they desire Bea, mercies. So you pray for mercy. And that can be protection, as well as for, you pray for interpretation. Now remember, all of these verses use that word Bea. Number 4 was Daniel 2:23. One goes a bit lower. And that had to be with praising Yahweh for his wisdom that was given from Elohim of heaven, who made known what was desired, which is the word Peah. So this is a prayer of praise. Number 5 was Daniel 2:49. And that was when Daniel requested, which is the word Peah, of the king, that he and his friends to be set up as leaders. So you pray for leadership. So all of these are associated with Yahweh's Spirit carrying us, giving us strength. And this spirit or attribute of Yahweh's Spirit is associated with the Gimel, and it leads to strength. Now, as I said Friday, praying in the Spirit will strengthen you, and that's basically what all of this is about. So it's about praying for protection, or for wisdom, how to deal with the enemy that attack the wise and the word of Yahweh. Pray for an opportunity to share that wisdom. Pray for mercies, which is interpretation. Also pray for interpretation whenever there's a word that is released within the congregation through utterance of the Spirit. Pray for a prayer of praise, praising Yahweh. So that is basically when you don't have a shopping list, you just pour out your heart and you praise Yahweh. The next one is pray for leadership, and that is so that the function of the body can run smoothly in the midst of the dynamics we face in this wilderness. Now, with that as a backdrop, an introduction, I've continued to look at the names of Daniel and his friends, and that's also linked to prayer. So the first name is Daniel, and it's a Dalet, and it's a Nun, and then there's a Yod, an Aleph, and a Lamed. Now, as you'll notice, I'm going to make these two red, the last two red. Oh my, thing's a bit smeary. So this is the word El, which is the short form of Elohim, which people, or the Bible, translated as God. Elohim. So we got Daniel, the letter Yod is basically a hand. And this is also attribute of the Spirit, who is the helper. And then we get Dalet Nun, and this is the word Dan, or Dan, which means judge. So in short, Daniel means my judge. So the function of Daniel is to be a judge, and Daniel was a prophet, so this is also linked to prophecy. So the judgment is revealed through the prophet and then spoken, and that's basically what we read in the book of Daniel. Now, his interpretation, or the words he received, was in the form of dreams, visions, and the interpretation of that. Which is basically the wisdom that we read in all those passages. So this is a form of prayer that is to do with praying prophetic words. And also the interpretation of words revealed through the gifts of the Spirit, which is tongues. So it's an interpretation. So 2 eyes. Which were hidden through a tongue. So that's what Paul was saying, interpretation of tongues, revealing the mysteries, and that's basically the third one. So dreams and visions, and then words of wisdom that are secrets that needs to be revealed. So that's the first one, praying prophetic words, and that we see in the name Daniel. And the words are normally in line with judgment, or Yahweh's words regarding the end times, and a word to his body if they need to be corrected. The next one is Shadrach, number 2. Shadrach, and that is Shin Dalet. I'm just going to use different colors because I'm going to break the word up into Shin Dalet for Shat, and then Rak for the 2 last words. And this is a kaf, so feet, so it's got a long tail, it's at the end. So Shadrach. Now Shat, the Shin Dalet, gives the word Sadeh or Shaddai. And Shaddai means demon using words. That's a very interesting meaning. Now this comes from the dictionary, so it's not funny interpretation. It's just a weird, unexpected meaning. And Rak, Resh Kaf, means weak and faint. So we see that there's demons using words, and that I think we can classify in the context of Daniel's name. We can, I think, with confidence say this is false prophecy. False prophecy, because words inspired within people that comes from a religious spirit will be words that will be uttered by a prophet who's not Yahweh's prophet, who's a false prophet. So that gives us the idea of praying against these false words, praying against these false spirits, and this is basically the prayer of spiritual warfare. Praying against religious spirits, and against false prophecies. So that's the function of Shadrach, or the type of prayer associated with Shadrach, which is connected through Be'ah, which are those words that's connected to the Gimel, which is inspired by the Spirit that gives you strength and that carries you. So whenever you're under attack by false prophets, this is where your strength will come from to stand against them. Now the next one is Meshach. Oh, sorry, me. I need a Y. And his name is Mem. Yod, Shin, and then a kaf, so feet. It's like a long tail. Now Meshach means guest of the king. So this gives us a sense of authority. Now Meshach is from the word Meshah, which is Mem, Shin, Aleph. Now Meshah means freedom. Meshah comes from a primal root, which is mush. Now mush is mem, vav, shin. That's mush, and it means to remove, to depart, and it basically supports the previous word, because if you remove something, you can be liberated, and then that will lead to the next one, because you are a guest of the king. So it's basically approaching the king, but there's some things that need to be removed, that you need to be liberated from. So those who are not familiar with this kind of prayer, this is the prayer of deliverance. To set the captives free. And what's the other key to set captives free? Truth will set you free. And this is praying scripture. And this one is deliver from bondage. Some people who are in extreme, that were connected to maybe Satanism and all that, that might be the kind of prayer that's needed to set them free from any oppression, and that needs to be removed. But basically, the truth will set you free, and praying scripture is the effective way to deal with that. And that's also where teaching the word and the truth comes into play to set the captives free. So that's Meshach. Now the next friend we're going to look at is Abednego. Abednego is two words. Abad, I'm going to just use different colors. So there's Abad and then Nego. Nun, Gimel, and the O is a Vav with a little dot on top. Abednego. Now this word means servant of Nebo. So who is Nebo? Now we're not going to delve into Nebo. We're going to basically look at the last part that gives that interpretation from a dictionary. So we'll look at that next. The first one I want to look at is Abad. Now Abad means work. Also means worship. Now Nego consists of two words. So we get the Nun. We just change the colors so we can explain it. So we have the first part, which is a Nun. And this is added to the go, the word go, which is Gimel Vav, which is the O sound. And but this can also be a V sound because of the if you remove the dot, it's a V sound. So this word makes the word Gav. And Gav means the back of the body, or your back of a person. So that's basically when you look upon someone, their back is facing you, so they're probably facing down. Or you look from them from behind. The Nun, of course, means fruitfulness, as we discovered previously. Fruitfulness. And the context of the whole of this word is linked to Abad. Now, Abad means to worship. So we get the idea of seeing the back of the person worshipping, and David was a good example of that, where he prostrated himself in the presence of the Father, and that was basically showing his back. So it is basically to be face down in the presence of the Father. With the focus on the worship component. So this prayer is a prayer of intercession. I can't spell it. Oh, how do you spell it? Sorry. So this is the intercession prayer. So just to sum it up, Daniel was praying words of prophecy. Shadrach was spiritual warfare. Meshach was deliverance, prayers of deliverance and praying scripture. And Abednego is intercession. So we see that they all link up to the number 73 themes that we looked at, which were associated with Baal, which were basically giving us the idea of prayer. The first one was Daniel 2:13, which was praying for strength. Daniel 2:16 was praying for opportunity to share that wisdom. Daniel 2:18 was praying for protection and interpretation. The next one, Daniel 2:23, is praising Yahweh, prayers of praise, and then the last one was praying for leadership. So now, looking at all of that, we see the totality of all the functions of prayer, which is given by the Spirit of Yahweh, that gives strength. Now, strength, what we learn from here, is achieved by prayer. And we looked at all those different prayers. So I'm just going to summarize them here. So we have them in one summary. So you pray for strength. Within a situation, you ask the Father, and it's also praying against the enemies, because the enemies was looking for annihilating the wise. So you pray against enemies. Because they want to attack wisdom. The next one is pray for time to share the wisdom. The next one is to pray for protection and interpretation. And then the next one is it's a prayer of praise. And then the last one is pray for leadership. Just going to put the verses here. So it's Daniel 2 verse 49 was this one. This one was 2:23. Previous one is 2:18. All from the book of Daniel. Then the previous one was 2:16. And the first one was 2:13. So you can read those passages and confirm those meanings for yourself. Now the four attributes of Daniel and his three friends. So the first one we had was pray the word and prophetically. The second one was, let me just find my page, that was spiritual warfare. That was Shadrach. Meshach was to pray for deliverance. Pray the scripture plus deliverance. And the last one was intercession. So this was Daniel. The next one was Shadrach. Then it was Meshach. And the last one was Abednego. So there's a whole summary of prayer, all linked to the word Be'ah, and everything associated with Yahweh's Spirit that strengthen us, and the kind of prayers that He help us through. So I hope you enjoyed this study. It really blessed me, so I hope it blessed you as well. So I will continue next week on the letter Dalet. So we will explore a bit more of Yahweh's gems within the Hebrew alphabet. Till next time. Shabbat Shalom.